Hey folks, I'm back upstairs today in the 2-channel listening room, aka the living room, with another real-world review. And today we're going to look at the Essence HDACC-II 4K. When they reached out and asked me if I wanted to take a look or take a listen to this DAC, I kind of didn't want to. DACs are tough to review. There are a lot of great DACs on the market, and what I'm really looking for when I'm looking for a DAC is the feature set itself. And it's less about the quality, sound quality of the digital to analog conversion. Obviously it has to sound good, but in terms of what I'm really looking at when I'm evaluating them, it's more of a feature set and how does it fit into what my needs are. Bodhi wants to say hi. Several years ago, my partner got me, for my holiday gift, she got me a Jolita tube integrated amplifier, and I absolutely love this thing. It is perfect for what I'm normally doing when I'm listening to 2-channel music, and that's playing records. It works it sounds perfect with my Riga turntable and phono stage, and I love it. But the one thing it doesn't offer, when I swapped it in for the stereo receiver I had been using, doesn't allow an easy way to connect my television to the speaker system. And granted, we don't watch a ton of TV up here, but when we do, I like to hear it through the speakers. It sounds better. It's easier to understand than the speakers firing down at the TV stand. And so I really wanted to find a solution, something to plug into the second input that we could connect the TV to the speakers. What I ended up doing is I bought a Bluesound Node, and I bought that because it has Apple AirPlay, and everything we do is coming through an Apple TV in this room. So it made sense. We'll just AirPlay it to the Node and turn it on through the speakers and everything will be fine. Not so fine. So I tried it with, so I tried connecting the Node with the optical digital cable from the television set, and that worked. But every time I went between listening to the TV set and streaming music through the Node, I was forced to change the bit rate in the Node from 48 to 44.1, and that was a hassle every single time to have to go into the app and do that. So we gave up. For many years, we gave up. We bought a Sonos soundbar. Sounds fine, It's not. It was whatever. It's another piece of electronics that I'd rather not have sitting around. But we've been using that, and it's worked just fine. So when Essence reached out and asked if I would be interested in reviewing the HDACC-II 4K. I wasn't really that excited about reviewing another DAC. DACs are hard to review. It's kind of a matter of the feature set for me more than just the sound quality. So wasn't real excited, but I looked through the features and I noticed something that was very intriguing to me. And I said, sure, I'll take a look at this one because it actually might fill a need that I've kind of given up on filling over the last several years. So what the Essence HDACC-II 4K offered is kind of hinted at with the 4K at the end. It actually has 4 HDMI inputs plus an HDMI output that are all HDMI 2.1. It's 4K, obviously 4K capable. So it showed up. I connected it. Turned on some music on Apple TVs, on the Apple Music app on Apple TV, and it was distorted. I didn't know what was going on, and I realized then that one of the music track that I was playing was actually something that I hadn't listened to in a very long time, but I knew it had a really nice, airy female voice, partly because I used to be in the band. The track that I was listening to was actually something that I had uploaded into my iTunes Match cloud service before Apple Music existed. So I deleted those files from my cloud server or from my cloud account and then added it through Apple Music, and it sounded great, but it sounded low. So I backed up, read the emails that Essence had sent over, and realized that I had missed the step where I need to set it to a variable volume output, turn up the volume to the maximum level, and then lock it back at a set locked output level to take full advantage of the output of the DAC. And that took care of my volume issue. The distortion was gone. And this time around, when I played White Dogs in the Moonlight by Beth Waters, fantastic song, great female vocalist, really good dynamic range, some really neat percussion and some electronic elements in this, and great bass part, and just a really great demo track. So I listened to that a little bit, and it's a really nice sounding DAC.
Maybe she found out he was in love with someone else.
And it is. It's a really nice sounding DAC. Just to kind of go through and going over the specs of what makes it a good sounding DAC. So I did misspeak earlier. It's HDMI 2.0B, but it allows for you to pass through native 4K video. It's 0.00001% distortion, total harmonic distortion at minus 141 dB. You can connect USB audio via USB 2.0. It has an optical and a coax input and output. It actually, and I'll talk about this in a minute, it has an analog input that you can convert to digital and route back out through the USB. It has a built-in headphone amplifier. The outputs are RCA or XLR, or again, the headphone amp. It'll support SACD, native DSD 256 pass-through. And so again, it has 4 HDMI inputs and 1 output. So you can switch it just like it's an AV receiver, connecting all your sources to your TV and then running it into your vintage or fully analog preamp amplifier. So it will do sample rate conversion to 44.1, 48, 88.2, 96, 176.4, 192, and 384 via its DSP engine. So there you have it. It's a very feature-rich DAC. It's solidly built. It's got a nice heft to it. It's about 2 pounds. It does come with a remote control. One thing I wish I could do with this is turn off the display, because I initially thought, well, we'll just set it right under the TV next to the Apple TV, but now there's little lights. The display is there. So I'm gonna have to find a place to put it so the lights on the front display are hidden from view when we're watching TV with the lights down. But minor issue there. I mentioned the analog input. It does have a mini plug on the front that you can use this to actually digitize your vinyl and upsample it up to 384 kilobits per second for a very high quality digital recording of your vinyl. I don't tend to do that, so I did not test it, but that's something that's there. So if you have a lot of rare records that you want to listen to, that when you're not sitting with your turntable, you can digitize them and create very high quality files with just a simple output from your phono preamp into the analog input of the HDACC-II-4K. So how does it work? I'm still using the Apple Music app on the Apple TV, but I've found myself listening to a lot of that stuff. I've really found myself enjoying going in and listening to the stuff that I don't have on vinyl, that's never been released on vinyl. There's plenty of that music, for someone my age especially, who I was really consuming a lot of new music, and I was playing in bands as an artist during the time when vinyl production was probably at its lowest. So there's a lot of stuff that I really enjoy and really like there that was really only ever released on CD and then later on the music services. So I found myself going through and listening to a lot of it. And what I've also found is you don't have to really use the Apple TV, because honestly, not gonna lie, using the Apple TV remote to navigate and control the Apple Music app on the Apple TV is also kind of a pain. But once you've got everything all fired up, your iPhone sees that you're listening to music on the Apple TV, and it will then control that Apple TV Music app. So it really becomes like playing through, you know, an audio streamer. It makes it very simple. You can it's a nice graphic user remote on your iPhone. So that is pretty nice. The downside to using Apple TV for this and Apple Music is the Apple TV, for whatever reason, does not actually play back the high-res lossless files that you can get through certain other devices, which I don't know that I've ever even experienced it, because it is very limited. That being said, the experience is still great. The sound quality is fantastic, and I actually think this is probably the best solution we've had, especially for an Apple Music / Apple TV user. That's, you know, if you're a Spotify user, it's easier because that's built into everything. It's very, very simple. Apple, for better or worse, wants to keep things locked into their ecosystem, so it's not on every streaming device. The choices are limited. So just using this DAC opened up a lot of possibilities. Oh, almost forgot to mention, watching TV through the speakers, through the integrated amp, works perfectly. I had zero sync issues at all, and I watched some YouTube videos. I watched some Apple TV content from both the Apple TV Plus service as well as my iTunes library. I watched a couple of Blu-ray rips, or I previewed a couple of Blu-ray rips through my Plex and Emby server. I watched some live TV also through the Emby app, through HD Home Run Tuner. Everything just played back, sync was locked. There were absolutely no problems with that. So going back like 6 or 7 years, my initial problem has finally been solved. I can play my TV content through my stereo speakers, even though I'm using an all analog tube integrated amplifier. So all in all, the Essence HDACC-II/4K it's been fantastic. It's really easy to use. You know, a couple of little things to remember when you're setting it up with the volume control and things like that. But I've had zero issues with it. It's just kind of been set it and forget it. It sits there. It's in the HDMI chain. I've never really had to use the remote after I configured the menus. Obviously, there are going to be other folks with deeper use cases who, whether, you know, maybe playing music off of a hard drive that's high-res FLAC files, and your USB connection is going to be there. But I've had zero issues. It's been rock solid, no problems. Any problems have been on my end and quickly solved just by rereading the instructions from Essence. So if you're someone who is using a vintage amplifier, receiver, tuner, whatever it might be, you know, and just have that desire to connect something digital to it with a higher quality DAC. Maybe you have a CD transport and it doesn't have a good DAC in it, and you want to get that connected and have it sounding better. This is a really, really high quality device. It's very flexible. It's very powerful. It has a lot of different features packed in here. And it performs flawlessly. So that's going to do it for this real world review on the Essence HDACC-II-4K. This is an extremely versatile DAC that is powerful, rock solid, stable, does what it advertises with very little input or extra steps required from the user. Thanks for watching today. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you again real soon on another Real World Review.
White dogs in the moonlight, following footsteps through the night.